Your Honor, he is a drifting embarrassment with no stable work, no permanent address, and no credibility. He manipulated a dying man into surrendering his most valuable property. My uncle's barrister delivered those words with polished contempt. Martin Hale sat beside him, chin lifted, wearing the satisfied smile he reserved for moments when money made him feel untouchable. The gallery was packed with relatives he'd invited to witness my destruction. I kept my hands folded and said nothing. My solicitor, Naomi Grant, rose and carried a narrow black envelope to the clerk. Dark wax sealed the flap. For the judge's private review, she said. Judge Mercer opened it, unfolded one sheet, and read. His expression changed almost instantly. The courtroom stiffened around him. Then he stood, faced me, and gave a precise military salute. Mr. Evan Cross, he said, this court recognizes your service. Martin's smile disappeared. 3 months earlier, we'd gathered in a bright solicitor's office for my grandfather's will. Martin arrived in a tailored suit, already discussing which shares he'd sell and which cars he'd buy. No one challenged him. He'd spent years acting like the family's natural ruler. The solicitor assigned him the cash accounts, investments, company holdings. He relaxed further with every clause. Then came the final provision. Grandfather's 18th century estate, the house, the woodland, the protected farmland, had been left entirely to me. Martin slammed both palms onto the table. That is impossible, he shouted. He has nothing. He lives in a tiny flat and hides behind some meaningless government desk. He pointed at me like I'd stolen the building in front of everyone. I stayed quiet, because explaining myself was never an option. My family believed I processed forms in a dull office somewhere in London. In reality, I worked inside a secure intelligence facility as a senior threat analyst. My employment, my assignments, my commendations, all protected by secrecy laws. Even my closest relatives weren't entitled to the details. Martin treated my silence as weakness. He filed a claim accusing me of coercion, fraud, undue influence. His barrister demanded my employment history, bank records, medical files, proof I'd led a responsible adult life. He expected me to either expose classified information or hand over the estate. Naomi had worked in government legal affairs before. She knew the procedure. We requested a sealed statement confirming my position, conduct, and service record, without revealing anything operational. The approval traveled through departments I couldn't name. Eventually, the document arrived under armed courier protocol and was lodged for judicial inspection. While we waited, I remembered why grandfather had trusted me. At family dinners, Martin praised promotions, salaries, expensive purchases. Then he'd turn to me with theatrical sympathy. At least simple work is honest, he said once, and the table laughed. One Thanksgiving, I mentioned a major commendation. Employee of the month? Martin asked. Did they give you a supermarket voucher? Everyone laughed again. I stopped offering them pieces of my life after that. The truth was less amusing. Months earlier, I'd identified a hidden communications pattern buried beneath false traffic. A signal revealing an imminent attack on a British diplomatic convoy in a conflict zone. My warning triggered an emergency route change and a joint military response. Dozens survived. Among the protected personnel was Judge Mercer's son, then serving as an Army medical officer. The sealed letter confirmed that fact, without exposing the operation itself. Back in court, Judge Mercer lowered the page and looked directly at Martin's barrister. You described this man as unstable, dishonest, and useless, he said. The authorized record before me establishes the opposite. He dismissed the case with prejudice, ordered Martin to pay my legal costs, and referred the conduct of both claimant and counsel for review, with sanctions, for abusing disclosure requests to force protected information into public proceedings. Martin rose halfway from his chair. He still tricked father. Judge Mercer struck the bench with his gavel. Your father was a decorated military officer. He knew exactly who he was. That sentence broke something in Martin. Our relatives slipped from the gallery without meeting my eyes. He stood surrounded by papers. Suddenly smaller than the man who'd walked in. I restored grandfather's estate instead of selling it. The old roof was repaired, the orchard replanted, and several unused rooms converted into housing for injured veterans and their families. A year later, I sat on the porch beneath the cedar beams grandfather had sanded himself. I'd recently been promoted to section chief. My phone buzzed. Martin's business was collapsing. His message asked for money, then forgiveness, though the money came first. I read it once and archived it. I felt no triumph, only peace. Grandfather had never mistaken noise for strength. He left me the estate because he understood the life I couldn't explain. In the end, the truth didn't need shouting. It only needed the right moment, opened without ever betraying my oath.